Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the launch of the Sadiq panel of international commercial arbitrators. This event is brought to you by the Sadiq Lawyers Association, working in conjunction with the Arbitration Foundation for Southern Africa, the Sadiq division of AFSA. My name is Paul Manchungu. I am from Zambia. I will be the program director for today. Thank you again for coming, joining us on this very special occasion for arbitration in Sadek. Just as a way of probably laying the ground for our event today, 16 months ago, the Sadiq Lawyers Association and the Arbitration Foundation for Southern Africa signed a memorandum of agreement in Vic Falls, Zimbabwe, at the annual general meeting of the Sadiq Lawyers Association, where the two institutions agreed to collaborate in advancing arbitration and dispute resolution generally in the Southern African Development Community region and generally Africa. The purpose of the Memorandum of Agreement was to begin to work together in order to try and get Southern Africa involved on the arbitration landscape and set our footprint, as it were, for the Sadiq region and AFSA as a prime and desirable location for the resolution of disputes in the commercial and investment law sector. After the signing of the Memorandum of Agreement, a committee was appointed, which has been working since then to operationalize the Sadiq division of AFSA, and a lot of work has been done gratefully by the committee, great work by Stanley, the CEO for the Sadiq Lawyers Association. And we are getting to the launch today as one of the milestone events following on that Memorandum of Agreement. Today, we are going to launch the inaugural panel of international and investment arbitrators in the Sadek region, who were nominees of the respective Sadek countries. I must mention that this initiative is fully supported by all the law societies in the Sadek region. And the inaugural panel is just that, it's an inaugural panel. It's not a closed list. We will hear during the course of this launch how those who are interested in being part of the panel or being part of the training and skills development programs of AFSA can be admitted and can play their role. I highlighted that we have a very representative group today. I would just like to acknowledge that for our launch today, we have, and I do recognize, the Attorney General for the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Likando Kalaluka SC, the Attorney General for Malawi, the Honorable Dr. Shikosa Sulungue. Thank you very much for joining us. We have a representative of the Minister of Justice for South Africa and one, too, for Zimbabwe. We have with us, and he will be speaking, Mr. Maxwell Bokwane, who is the president of the Sadiq Lawyers Association. I recognize Mr. Michael Kuta, who is the chairman of the Arbitration Foundation for Southern Africa, and Mr. Des Williams, who is the chairman for the Sadiq division of AFSA. Thank you very much for joining us, Secretary General for the Sadiq Parliamentary Forum, Mrs. Boema Sekoma. We have the President of the Commonwealth Lawyers Association, Mr. Brian Spears, also with us. Thank you for taking time to join us. We have the Executive Director of the Pan-African Lawyers Union, Mr. Donald Omondi Dea. We have the CEO of the Eastern African Law Society, Mr. Hannington Amo. Thank you very much from East Africa for joining us. And I also recognize the members of the respective executive committees and Council of the Sadiq Lawyers Association and the Arbitration Foundation for Southern Africa. I also want to recognize and thank the respective bar presidents and representatives of the AFSA founding members. You will get to know who the AFSA founding members are in the course of this event. At this point in time, we will have some official opening remarks that will be delivered. Firstly, by Mr. Max Bokwane, who is the president of the Sadiq Lawyers Association, and by Mr. Des Williams, who is the chairperson for the AFSA Sadiq division, who are the committee that is responsible for this launch. Stanley, will you confirm for me that Mr. Max Bokwana is with us so that he can deliver his opening remarks?
Thank you, Bowman. I think we can proceed with Des, and Max will be joining us shortly.
Okay, the president of the Sadiq Lawyers Association will be joining us shortly. So in that respect, I will then defer to Mr. Des Williams, the chairperson for the AFSA Sadiq division, to give his opening remarks.
There we go. Thank you, Bowman, and welcome to everybody. It's who would have thought at the start of 2020 that this is how we would be launching the Sadek panel of international commercial arbitrators. But this, for now, is our new reality. And I'm, for one, happy to be ending what has been a very challenging and difficult year on a positive note. You will hear more this afternoon about the impressive panel of arbitrators that we have been able to assemble from throughout the Sadek region. You will also hear more generally about the positive and very enthusiastic response that we have had to the establishment of the Sadek division. As has already been mentioned, and as I'm sure many of you will know, in the 16 months that have passed since the signature of the MOU at Vic Falls in August of 2018, we have achieved a number of our stated objectives, including the adoption of a standardized set of rules, the provision of an administering secretariat, the involvement of the division in training in the region, and now the establishment of the Sadek panel of international commercial arbitrators. The progress that has been made is hugely encouraging, but it is only the beginning. We still have a mountain to climb. 6 years ago, at a conference here in Johannesburg, Judge Edward Talkbaugh, who will probably be known to many of you here today, told us at this conference that a presenter at a London seminar had asserted that the African Development Bank if the African Development Bank is to be believed, 90% of all international contracts negotiated in Africa or concerning African investment are drafted as being subject to English law, and that for the most part, African entities are the respondents in international arbitrations, and that in terms of representation, the parties in 99% of African disputes, both past and present, are represented by lawyers and law firms based in the UK, the USA, France, or elsewhere in Europe. Now, from these comments, the presenter concluded that the future of African arbitration is in Europe. Now, all of this may be somewhat exaggerated and overstated, but an important point was being made. And the point is simply this. The point is that Africa was seen at that stage to be lagging behind in the development of international arbitration. Much has changed in a fairly short time. With the enactment of the International Arbitration Act in 2017, South Africa became the 11th African country to adopt the UNCITRAL model law. Of the 55 members of the African Union, 30 now have modern arbitration legislation for international arbitration, and 5 of these are in the Sadek region. There has been significant development of international arbitration in other African regional centers, including Nairobi, Lagos, Cairo, and others. And it is becoming increasingly evident in the world of arbitration that we have what we need in order to provide efficiency, expertise, and excellence in the provision of international arbitration services and facilities. However, although much progress has been made, there is, as I said earlier, still a long way to go. Let us all remember that the D in Sadek stands for development, and that the C stands for community. It is through the ongoing development of arbitration in the Sadek region that we will build the skills and the confidence that we need to assert our position in the world of international arbitration. And by focusing on the strength and depth that we have within this Sadek community as a powerful bloc of 15 countries, that we can and must compete with international arbitration organizations in other regions. We have made a very good start. What we are seeing here today is the product of a joint initiative between AFSA and the Sadek Lawyers Association, and it is representative and inclusive of all the countries in the region. As we work together and achieve ever-increasing levels of harmonization in our approach to commercial dispute resolution, we can look forward to strengthening the bonds between us. We have made a good start. We know that with the support of all of you and the constituencies that you represent, we can ensure that all Sadek countries will have access to an arbitration institution which promotes excellence at every level and which is committed to providing arbitration services and solutions which will, at the very least, match those provided by other regional arbitration organizations. Thank you all for your support thus far. We know that with that ongoing support, our objectives will be achieved, and that we can look forward to the AFSA Sadek Division International Commercial Arbitration Model being able proudly to assert its place in the world of international arbitration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Des, for those remarks. I would like to recognize with us today Mr. Krishnan, the immediate past president for the Commonwealth Lawyers Association. I see that he's with us. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us. Going through the participant lists, I also note that all the way from West Africa, Mrs. Funke Adekoya is with us. Thank you for joining us. It's great to have support from far and wide, and you are welcome. At this point in time, I would like to call upon Mr. Max Bokwana, the president for the Sadek Lawyers Association, to make his remarks. Mr. Bokwana, please.
Coleman, thank you very much. You know, technology is a very good thing when it works. So I've been trying to join you since time immemorial, but thanks. And I don't want to waste time saying wrong things like protocol observed when protocol is actually not being observed. But I think being a lawyer, there's an advantage of believing in the principle of equality. So everybody here is treated equally, and all of you are welcomed. There's no doubt that the legal profession has a critical role to play in facilitating resolutions of conflicts, disagreements amongst individuals and institutions and companies, countries. At the inception of 1999, we set out that one of our cardinal principles is the issue of the alternative dispute resolution. We understood the centrality of the profession in supporting investments in our region, in promoting development, as Des was saying, in particular by creating the necessary certainty in cases of dispute. Therefore, the institutionalization of ADR, we are creating that predictability for those who seek to invest in our region. The biggest challenge, I think, why we are gathered, all of us here today, is the fact that in the past 20 years, there's been a lack of trust by the multinationals and even our own governments on the capability of lawyers in our region. It seemed to many of them normal that major disputes, whether political or commercial in our region, are adjudicated in jurisdictions like London, with the arbitrator being English, the lawyers from both sides being English, but the dispute and the money is African. There's also been a perceived or lack of capacity of the domestic lawyer. This is the fact, despite the fact that many of us understands the non-litigious methods of resolving disputes, which are inherently African. So this project, colleagues, that we are launching here today is based on us appreciating the problems that we face as a region and as a continent, and our commitment to domesticate the solutions. As we say, I know we've got colleagues here from the judiciary and colleagues from the ministries of justice. We are fully conscious of our responsibility towards strengthening and protecting the judiciary, for we know that it is the last line of defense against dictatorship or military junta. Therefore, we dare not do what we are doing here today in a manner that discredits our judiciary, in which millions of our people rely to enforce and protect their rights, both in the lower and the higher courts. So what we are trying to launch today must be understood as complementary in curbing, in particular, the backlogs which we found in our courts. As the Sadek region, we are also compelled to claim our own portion of the $33 trillion Africa continental free trade areas. We therefore need to create a globally competitive capabilities to play our central role in this regard. The domestic national laws, whether in relation to energy, in relation to infrastructure, to rail, administrative fairness, and sometimes constitutional rights, are sometimes insufficient to deal with matters. So it's going to succeed of our colleagues in the region, and this is the space that we want to intervene in. So what we are doing today is to ensure that none of our countries are left behind, with the result that they become the burden to the rest. I remember then that when we were mistakenly placed at the presidential section of the airport in Zimbabwe with Des, Ms. Nkosi Thomas, and Mr. Kepa, we actually coined this idea, and thanks to the Zimbabweans for thinking that I'm a real president. So because whilst we were sitting there, we had put together the plan that will create about today. So we have been in a position to develop international commercial arbitration and investment disputes in Sadek. Which we had on the 25th of November. So I think this journey is now moving. And AFSA, our speakers today, led by Paulman, and more importantly, all of the participants for this important journey. I'm also particularly excited that the Repository and Ministries of Justice identified a common problem, and we're looking at finding a common solution together. So, thank you very much for and informative sessions. Thanks, and I'm sorry once again, Paulman, for joining your meeting a bit late.
Thank you so much. We're breaking a bit there, but I guess we did get the gist of what Max was saying, and gives us an insight on where this whole idea started from. It's interesting to see that we are launching today an idea that may have developed and was first conceived on the apron of an airport. I just want to ask that shall we all mute our mics, because there is some interference that is happening there. We'll go on now to ask our keynote speaker, to address the session. Our keynote speaker is the learned Attorney General for the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Likando Kalaluka, SC. Mr. Kalaluka, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much, Program Director. I've seen the attendance is quite impressive, and as such, I may not be able to actually acknowledge the people that are participating in this launch. However, I will say that I will ride on the acknowledgement which was made earlier by the Program Director. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to thank you all for having logged in to attend this very important launch event for the Sadiq panel of international commercial arbitrators. Your virtual attendance today gives this launch the necessary impetus for the Sadiq panel of international commercial arbitrators to hit the ground running. I also want to thank the organizers, that is to say, the Sadiq Lawyers Association and the Arbitration Foundation for Southern Africa, for coming up with this brilliant initiative, which seeks to ensure that within the Sadiq region, we have a shared, efficient mechanism for the resolution of commercial and investment disputes, so that disputes within the Sadiq are resolved in accordance with the standards set by and within the Sadiq region. I think this was long overdue. I am extremely grateful for this opportunity to give this keynote address at this very important launch. This launch is particularly relevant to the lawyers, mediators, and arbitrators in the Sadiq region. It is also significant for the promotion of international arbitration and more broadly within the Sadiq region, but also within the African context. Colleagues, the initiative by the Sadiq Lawyers Association and the AFSA to create a panel for the international commercial arbitrators is remarkable. The two institutions have taken a significant step which seeks to standardize and harmonize commercial and investments arbitration practice within the Sadiq region. This will no doubt attract more investment in the Sadiq region and also spur the much needed development in our region. We need to take steps to position the region as a champion of the rule of law and also as a champion of international commercial arbitration. This is no doubt a remarkable step forward, which will have extraordinary positive consequences for the sustainable development of our continent. We should also not lose sight of the fact that an efficient and reputable commercial and investment arbitration mechanism in the Sadiq region will make the Sadiq panel for international commercial arbitrators a preferred choice for dispute resolution for the Sadiq region. This will result in retaining millions of dollars, millions of United States dollars, which would otherwise be spent in arbitration, which is seated in Western countries. Ladies and gentlemen, international arbitration has for a long time been seen as an optimal way to address and resolve disputes between business entities and also with governments. In the investment context or in the commercial context, arbitration depoliticizes disputes. It assures neutrality in adjudicating of disputes and is perceived to be an economical, speedy, and flexible procedure for resolution of disputes. Also, it gives the parties a fair amount of control over the procedure and assures that awards are easily enforceable abroad, thereby creating a sense of legitimacy and comfort to the parties. International arbitration, therefore, enables parties to a dispute to achieve recognition and enforcement of their property rights and binding contractual commitments, which form the very basis of commercial activity. I note that the idea behind the Sadiq panel of international commercial arbitrators is to create a panel of arbitrators that will draw its membership from each of the law societies or legal communities within the Sadiq. This is important as it creates a sense of belonging, not only to the law societies, but also to the lawyers, arbitrators, and mediators within the region. Invariably, this also leads to capacity building within the SADC region, as the lawyers, arbitrators, and mediators will be able to access trainings, webinars, discussions, and symposia on arbitration and mediation practice. But as we delight in the moment, we should remain watchful that there is no place for compliances or to assume that the international system for dispute resolution will continue in the trajectory unaided. Murmurs of discontent among the users of arbitration have been mounting in recent years, and it is unlikely to be a coincidence that commercial courts around the world are gaining importance at the same time. However, pulling the threads together, I do not see the courts and arbitration being entangled in competition for work. I see the strength of the SADC panel augmented by the strong court system, reinforcing a thriving SADC arbitration, with the SADC arbitration in turn also increasing the attraction of the SADC laws and thus ultimately the SADC courts. This is therefore a mutually supportive relationship between arbitration and the courts, which we must not lose sight of. The strength of one supports the strength of the other and vice versa. As we pursue this agenda, we would do well to consider how best the SADC panel of international commercial arbitrators may collaborate and cooperate with the SADC tribunal established under the SADC investment protocol promulgated by the SADC member states. Though this may not necessarily be the fate of the SADC panel of international commercial arbitrators, it is worth noting that the SADC tribunal had at one point been suspended for about 4 years before it commenced business afresh. Therefore, such a fate should be avoided at all costs with respect to the SADC panel. Hence, the need, where possible, to collaborate and exchange notes with the SADC tribunal. Standing back, however, the place for international arbitration in the global dispute resolution is secure. It feels an essential need of providing a neutral forum with appropriate expertise for the resolution of international disputes. I would like to conclude, therefore, by stating that we should face the future with confidence. But we may be aware of the challenges that may arise. There may be a crowded agenda before us, but we must not despair. The need to give the SADC countries a united voice and presence on the international arbitration stage is very important now. In this regard, allow me once again to express my thanks to the organizers of this webinar and also to you, the participants, for having logged in and participated in this very important event. The journey has only begun, and I believe and I'm convinced that as SADC, we can actually do this. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Attorney General. It's refreshing that those of us who in the private sector should hear such encouraging words and such an enthusiasm from you, Attorney General. And I believe the sentiments of the Zambian Attorney General will echo throughout the sub-region, because to get anywhere as an arbitral institution, as an arbitral community, we need the backing policies and the laws to reflect a commitment to this alternative to dispute resolution. I thank you, Attorney General, for your encouraging words. And I believe I speak for my colleagues and I speak for the Sadek division, and I will speak also for my president, Max, and say that we started this journey and we are equal to the task. At this point in time, having had our introductory remarks and the keynote speech, we will go into a plenary session. We'll first of all go into the introduction of the Sadiq panel. Stanley is going to lead this process. Stanley, are you there?
I'm here.
Yes, I will hand over to Stanley, who is now going to deal with the introduction of the respective members who have been nominated and now selected as constituting part of the panel. Stanley, over to you.
Thank you very much, Des. As you can see, members who have joined this session today, I'm just going to introduce by country the people who are members of the panel. We start with Angola. There is Botswana. I'm not having a smooth flow of my slides. Morton, are you there?
Yes, I am. I can probably try to share from my end. It's probably a network issue.
Morton, can you please bring my slides on? And while you bring the slides on, ladies and gentlemen, let me just inform you that there is, like what Holman has said, a criteria for joining this panel. This is not a once-off event. It is a process, which is a process that is multi-pronged, from training, developing skills, and trying to achieve standards of excellence in the practice of arbitration. And as such, we are seeking to continue working with the law societies, other professions, in order to develop an expert panel, but to develop training, standards, and also to merge with other international players in commercial arbitration. I should say to you that part of the criteria that we are using is to find that one has an undergraduate degree or equivalent, an advanced degree in business, corporate or commercial law or related field, because this is international commercial arbitration. One must also be admitted to practice law in the member state of the Sadek region where they want to practice from. In that regard, your law society or your bar association can send a letter of good standing, and you should be also nominated by that bar association. I see there that Morton has brought back the slides, and therefore we've got Angola. Can we keep moving? Moving on to Botswana. And we've got the Democratic Republic of Congo. So it is a multilingual panel. We will be having French speaking as well as Portuguese and English speaking panelists. We've got panelists from Eswatini. Thank you, Morton. We are looking at the panelists from Lesotho now. Malawi. May I mention that one of the appointees has since been elevated to the bench in Malawi, and I think that speaks to the quality that we are fishing from. Moving on is Mauritius. We have got Mozambique. Namibia. And Tanzania. These are all appointed as nominated by their respective law societies. And I'm happy that there is a very strong gender balance in the Tanzanian complement, and we really seek to ensure that we work with many women's organizations that are law-based to make sure that there is gender balance in the panel. Zambia is showing now. And lastly, Zimbabwe. This is not in any particular order except for the alphabet. Thank you so much, Morton. I will hand over back to the moderator.
Thank you very much. I know that the slides went down a little fast. I believe that both AFSA and the Sadiq Lawyers Association will, on their websites, and I believe that towards the end will be given links where the more elaborate details of the nominees, well, the panelists for the Sadiq division will be disclosed. And at this point in time, we would like to acknowledge the stakeholders, those with whom AFSA and Sadek has worked to get to this point in this project, and to whom we owe great gratitude. I would like particularly, and if you allow me, I would like to single out for today's purposes the solidarity that has been given by dignitaries in the sub-region. I would like to acknowledge the ministers of justice for Zimbabwe and the Republic of South Africa. I note that the Minister of Justice for Namibia has also joined us. Welcome. And thank you for the solidarity and the support. We thank the attorneys general, both for Zambia and Malawi, also for the solidarity and support. We will definitely be calling on you along the way, as and when we might need you. I note, and I will be calling Stanley on to lead the plenary session, where we will look at acknowledging and thanking those who have supported us in this journey. And we will just generally have a look at the solidarity we have received from the Sadiq Parliamentary Forum, from the Commonwealth Lawyers Association, the Ministries of Justice for, as I mentioned, from Namibia, Malawi, and Zimbabwe, and the founding members of AFSA we are going to see, and the Beijing International Arbitration Center and Kajak have been great stakeholders in this regard. Stanley, over to you on the plenary for the congratulatory and solidarity message.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. At this point in time, my job is only to introduce Samantha Martins. She is a member of the Young AFSA, an inspiration that shows the direction of this initiative to also include the young lawyers in arbitration as part of the expert building base. So Samantha, can I hand over to you to take over the session?
Thank you, Stanley. I'd like to start with introducing the plenary session.
You are muted, Samantha.
Am I now unmuted?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. I'd like to start with introducing the plenary session. Stanley, if you can assist me with the slide sharing, please, and to start with the Sadek Parliamentary Forum.
I think with the Sadek Parliamentary Forum, we have the Secretary General, Ms. Boemo Sekoma. Could you please come through?
Thank you very much, Mr. Stanley, and congratulations are in order. Allow me to stand on the protocol already established, the egalitarian one by Mr. Botswana at this point, and proceed accordingly. It's my singular honor and pleasure to accept your kind invitation to deliver a solidarity message on the initiative of the Sadek Lawyers Association to launch the Sadek Panel of International Commercial Arbitration. The Sadek Parliamentary Forum applauds this timely initiative. The globalization of trade and the concomitant investment opportunities in our region requires that any disputes that arise are resolved speedily, efficiently, and cheaply. Director of Ceremonies, it is a notorious fact in our region that courts take far too long to resolve commercial disputes, a factor that often explains the migration of investments to other more investment-friendly destinations. The rapid globalization of commerce has also seen the globalization of law. Today, modern commercial agreements contain clauses that require that disputes to be arbitrated rather than be processed through the court systems. That is often quite seen to be slow and inefficient. Our region continues to witness steady growth in the volume of international contracts, with clauses providing for international arbitration. Therefore, your initiative will tap into this growth. The availability and effectiveness of international arbitration has been seen by many as a spur to cross-border commerce and investment. The Sadek Parliamentary Forum encourages the development of alternative dispute resolution platforms. And there is no doubt that with its experienced expert panel selected from all Sadek countries, the Sadek region will now attract diverse forms of commercial arbitration. We therefore applaud this long-awaited initiative that will be a catalyst not only for the quick and efficient resolution of commercial disputes, but also to showcase the Sadek region as a world-class destination for commercial arbitration. Director of Ceremonies, the Forum looks forward to cooperate fully and develop linkages with the Sadek Lawyers Association and the Sadek Panel of International Commercial Arbitration in view of identifying the bottlenecks within the legislative and policy frameworks of Sadek member states, which govern commercial arbitration and related matters. This initiative tallies with the vision of the Sadek Parliamentary Forum, which is to be the flag bearer of democratization and socio-economic development for the region. And the Forum looks forward to the rebirth of the Sadek region as an international arbitration hub of repute and prestige, in line with the developmental agendas of our member states. On this note, I wish the newly constituted panel a groundbreaking start, as it is poised to making history in the Sadek commercial arbitration regime. I thank you and wish you a fruitful launch.
Thank you very much. I'd like to call upon the representative of the Commonwealth Lawyers Association, please.
Thank you, Sam, and greetings, everyone. My name is Brian Spears, and I'm the president of the Commonwealth Lawyers Association, speaking to you from Belfast in Northern Ireland. Thank you for inviting me to share in this most auspicious event, and I'm delighted to bring you greetings from the Commonwealth Lawyers Association. This association represents practitioners and law societies across 54 countries that make up the Commonwealth. And I have previous form with Sadek, having been invited to speak on a session dealing with alternative dispute resolution at your conference in Botswana a couple of years ago. And it's a delight to see some familiar faces again and to say hi to Stanley, who has roped me in to bring you these greetings. Our next conference for the CLA is in the Bahamas next September. We hope it will be possible to travel there and for many of you to attend. And the invitation and call for speakers to that prestigious event was launched earlier this week. The theme is sustainable justice, and among the matters to be discussed is the question of access to justice, a topic upon which I spoke to lawyers in India yesterday on the occasion of International Human Rights Day. And mentioning access to justice brings me to the purpose of your launch today. Access to justice has been threatened in COVID times. Courts initially were closed, many have reopened, but in a different format. But one of the essential obligations of the state in providing court-based resolution is the need for openness of justice and the need for people to be able to attend. Arbitration and other forms of ADR are not restricted in that way. Using technology, it is possible to conduct arbitration hearings, to conduct mediations in a way that is flexible and responsive to parties' needs. And I have participated in arbitration-related events in New York and in Nigeria and in Singapore, all of whom report a growth in the interest and use of arbitration and mediation as alternatives to court-based resolutions. At the Law Ministers' meeting of the Commonwealth in Sri Lanka in November 2019, there was presented to that collection of distinguished legal officials a report on international commercial arbitration in the Commonwealth. And the report authors indicated that the availability of efficient and effective business arrangements for resolving business disputes was of great benefit to the economies of Commonwealth jurisdictions. It enhanced and promoted the opportunity for inward investment, and stable democratic countries with a flexible and variety of dispute resolution options was very much behind that official Commonwealth report. Now, that is not to say that we want to settle for any sort of system, just to have a system get going. And I am delighted to hear that the standard of arbitrators on your inaugural panel is of such a high quality, because quality must be pervasive in everything that arbitration centers do, in the quality of the individual arbitrators and mediators, in the adherence to codes of conduct and appropriate legislation. It goes through to the quality of venues and administrative support, and of course in training and ongoing training of arbitrators and mediators. Let me sound a modest note of caution, because in other arbitral webinars, it has been said that arbitration has become a little bit clunky, somewhat over expensive, much too replicating the court system in its approaches, and perhaps has lost a little bit of the sight of the need to be flexible, to be responsive to the needs of the parties, and to take advantage of the litigation which enables the procedure to be tailored to the needs of the dispute and to be proportionate. In that regard, it has been said that mediation can often play a part to bridge the gap between two rather formal processes which result in binding awards. And I simply express the view on behalf of the CLA that mediation should not be forgotten in the consideration of ADR centres. And I'm sure that is the case with the Sadek approach. The CLA stands ready to assist in sharing experiences, in hosting joint events, and in simply learning from your experience in setting this regional panel up. It's a great pleasure to bring you these greetings, to wish you every good fortune and success with this venture, and to congratulate all those who have been involved. And I bring you the good wishes from the Commonwealth Lawyers Association. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. I'd like to then introduce the Attorney General of Malawi, Dr. Shikosa Sulungue, please. And Morten, if we can just share those slides as well, just for the introductions. Thank you very much. Is the Attorney General of Malawi with us, Dr. Sulungue? If I can then move on to the Minister of Justice for Namibia, Ms. Yvonne Dosab. Is Ms. Yvonne Dosab with us?
Yes, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
You can, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I want to start off by standing by the protocol that has been established. Please accept my apologies for joining in late. There's been some technical challenges around, the event and so forth. But I'm happy to make a short remark that is intended to firstly recognize the importance of a panel that is intended to deal with commercial arbitration in the region, and that the Sadek Lawyers Association, whom I have a long relationship with, even before I was Minister of Justice, and that has been doing good work in the region. And so I want to start off by just saying two quick things. The first one is that Namibia actually already in 2014, when we were amending the High Court rules of the Namibian High Court, discussions around whether or not there was a need for a commercial court specifically that will also deal with commercial arbitrations was considered. And subsequently, a World Bank report on the ease of doing business had then actually advised Namibia to think about streamlining commercial disputes, particularly when it involves international investors, because it will be part of reaffirming the importance of the rule of law, but also it will fast track, if you'd like, the resolution, the quick resolution of commercial arbitration. So recently, actually, we launched a commercial court in Namibia with state-of-the-art equipment, but also with a good policy and legal framework that will support the work of that particular court. And one hopes that once the court is operationalized, that it will contribute maybe to the ranking for Namibia, because that was one of the requirements. So Namibia has moved towards establishing a court, and Namibia obviously is moving towards making that particular process a little bit easier. There is the question, I think, that has been raised by the previous speaker around access to justice. And whilst we are talking about integrating Sadek as a model platform, if you'd like, in addressing concerns of commercial disputes, but also facilitating that process for international investors to this particular region. Another issue that this kind of activity around commercial arbitration and alternative dispute resolution raises is access to justice by people that are not in that particular spectrum of activity. And here I'm talking about particularly the vulnerable communities of our societies. And at least from a Namibian point of view, we want to also increase, not only in Namibia, but also in the region, the importance of community or traditional courts, but also the importance of what we call, and I know in South Africa similar courts exist, is the small claims court. And what has been, and we've been criticized a little bit about, for example, fast tracking or accelerating the establishment of a commercial court, whilst we haven't finalized all the work, the policy, institutional and legal arrangements for a small claims court. The good news, of course, now is for us that we have now prepared the law, the draft law, and we are piloting the possibility of setting up small claims court. I'm raising this point because it's important from a Sadek perspective that we also think about the twin obligation we have to make a commercial arbitrations easily available and accessible, but at the same time to ensure that we have similar arrangements for those that would otherwise not fall into that spectrum. So I want to use this opportunity to congratulate the various institutions and organizations that have facilitated the establishment of this panel, and we hope that it will not only contribute to access to justice in the various jurisdictions from an individual kind of perspective, but it will also contribute to access to justice in a collective kind of fashion, so that the Sadek community of which we that we represent and that we are intended to serve benefit from initiatives like this. I trust that going forward, this particular initiative will open up opportunities for us in not only in the legal space, but also from the perspective that we will have to increase our usage of the law to enhance social justice. So congratulations once again, and I wish that the institutional arrangements and the panel's work will become something of note for the Sadek region in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. I would like to call Dr. Shikosa Sulungue, who's the Attorney General of Malawi. I believe that they are now present to address the discussion, please.
Good afternoon to all. Thank you so much for the opportunity to say a few words. First is to congratulate Sadiq Lawyers Association for the initiative in the field of arbitration generally, and good luck to all the panelists that have been put in place amongst the membership within the region. There are national initiatives around alternative dispute resolution generally that are happening in Malawi. More specifically, the review of the current arbitration law and related international developments in the field of arbitration. This office is doing that, including at the moment the countries in the process of ratifying the New York Convention. It's being touted as a huge step for Malawi to make in terms of big business and dispute resolution. Having said that, I'd like to just put out two points, which may be at the level of Sadiq Lawyers Association we may continue to consider and continue to facilitate the debate. The field of arbitration over the years is located in forum. The initiative that the Sadiq Lawyers Association has done so far, I think, is in reaction to the issue of forum in the field of arbitration and in the context of dispute resolution in big business. One hopes that we will not replicate the challenges of forum that ensued globally and replicate them at the regional level. The second point that I want to put out there is the issue of expertise. Expertise should not be an excuse for, keeping others out. The wider court system doesn't really dwell so much on expertise, apart from the lawyers who have been called to the bar and so on and so forth. But arbitration, I think, also runs the risk of the capture of expertise. That debate must continue. Who should be an arbitrator and so on becomes a big issue in arbitration as a form of ADR. Two things really. Forum and expertise has had challenges when you look at arbitration globally. To what extent are we going to mitigate those challenges at the regional level? And I thought that I don't think there are any easy answers to those points that I make, but perhaps to suggest that the debates around the two issues may continue, and Sadiq Lawyers Association can continue being this host that allows that the conversations do continue. So once again, to congratulate the panelists that have been, put in place, and to also say that the Office of the Attorney General in Malawi shall and will remain supportive to the processes. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. We would like to recognize the following companies and law firms that have participated, including our AFSA founding members. If you can move on to the next slide, please, Morten. As well as the bar associations of the Sadek region, which are reflected in the slide. If you can move on to the next slide, please, Morten. As well as the key stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Samantha. And that was just a recognition of the stakeholders that are our partners in this project. And I've been reminded that I must acknowledge with us today, and please forgive my omission, Mr. James Banda, the immediate past president for the Sadiq Lawyers Association, is with us, and he's in support of of the project with us. I see he has made the panel. Thank you very much for taking time to be with us, Mr. Banda. Now, I am going to, at this point, call upon Mrs. Vimbai Nyemba, the Vice President of the Sadek Lawyers Association, to make some remarks, after which I will then call on Lindy, who is going to talk to us about the training and skills opportunities and the Young AFSA project, showing the diversity that that AFSA and the Sadek division is all about, embracing the young practitioners as well as those that may be experienced. Probably responding to the Honorable Attorney General for Malawi on the question of expertise, and I believe Lindy will do that a little later. Will I please ask Mrs. Vimbai Nyemba, the Vice President for the Sadek Lawyers Association, to issue her remarks.
Thank you very much, Advocate Paul Menchungu. Let me first say thankfulness is the beginning of gratitude, and gratitude is the beginning of thankfulness. My task, ladies and gentlemen, is to thank you all on behalf of the Sadek Lawyers Association. Ladies and gentlemen, you will all agree with me that we had a fruitful hour or so, which has been so enriching and encouraging. It is our duty as Sadek Lawyers Association to express our gratitude. I would first of all thank Mr. Des William, the chairperson of AFSA. Thank you for partnering with us, Sadekla. True, Des, we have started, but we have a mountain to climb, like you said, but climbing together, we shall reach the peak. To my president, Max Bokwana, president of Sadek Lawyers Association, thank you for the opening remarks. Very true that we are creating that predictability in our region. This launch shows that we appreciate our problems and we are committed to finding our common solutions together. I want to thank our keynote speaker, the Attorney General of the Republic of Zambia, for your encouraging words. We shall indeed face the future with confidence. We shall not despair. Indeed, this is a neutral forum for resolution of disputes. We will make you proud, Attorney General. I also want to thank the solidarity messages that we have received. Sadek Secretary General, thank you for coming, and we agree with you that court systems take too much time, and we hope this will be a better alternative. I also would like to thank Mr. Brian Spears, President of the Commonwealth Lawyers Association. You emphasized on the standard of the arbitrators and their quality. You said quality is of paramount importance. I believe that the level of the panel that we have, I don't doubt them. Most of them, I've known them through the years. And we really have a good panel, and I'm sure we are ready to go. I also would like to thank the Attorney General of Malawi, Dr. Sulungue. One hopes that you will not replicate the other systems of arbitration. This is what he said. Our system, I'm sure, will be tailor-made for our regional problems. It will not be a duplicate. We will make sure that it speaks to Southern Africa. Thank you for pledging your support, Dr. Sulungue. The Minister of Justice of Namibia, thank you very much for sharing with us the strides that Namibia has taken in establishing a commercial court. We will obviously, as Sadek, take a leaf from Namibia. Thank you very much. We couldn't get the Beijing Arbitration Center solidarity message, but we want to thank them for that. We would also like to thank the AFSA founding members, the bar associations of SADC, key stakeholders. I would also want to thank the past president of the Commonwealth Lawyers Association, who is with us, Santan Krishna. I'd also want to thank Mr. James Banda. Thank you very much, past president of SADC Lawyers Association, for your presence and even for being part of the panel. I also want to thank Palu CEO Don Dare for your attendance, and the East African CEO, I think, is also here with us. Many thanks to the Director of Ceremonies, Paul Menchungu, for directing this this launch. Thank you very much to the panelists. Thank you very much, panelists, for allowing yourselves to be part of this very important initiative. We also want to thank the ministers who are present, the ministers of justice, Zimbabwe representatives, South Africa, Namibia, I've already said, Zambia and Malawi, I've also said. What remains for me, I think, is to thank all of us for attending this. And we want to thank Stanley on behalf of SADC for running with this. We also want to thank Lindy on behalf of AFSA for running with this. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a good day. We have started a journey and we will continue to go. This is a process, it's not an event. I would like to thank you for the opportunity given to me to deliver this vote of thanks. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Nhemba. We thought that the best way to wind up is to wind up with a very quick discussion on where we are going from here and what it is that AFSA generally has to offer our young people and what we have in the way of training, and probably Lindy Nkosi Thomas, who is the AFSA Vice Chairperson, will speak to us about that in a quick 5 minutes before we wrap up. Lindy, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you and good afternoon, colleagues. It is a singular pleasure and an honor indeed to be standing in front of the luminaries of the profession, the dignitaries, and allow me to please just stand on the protocol that has already been established. Good afternoon to you all. Initially, my program director has decided to change the engagement, the rules of engagement a bit, but I shall comply because initially mine was to also deliver a vote of thanks. But before I talk to the programs that we have afoot and the programs in relation to which we're going to encourage and invite all of us, the legal practitioners on the Sadek region, let me start off by thanking the visionaries who have ensured that we are here today. And those visionaries, quite a number of them, might I be allowed to single out 3 of them? The president of Sadek, Max Botswana, Michael Cooper, the president of AFSA, and Des Williams, the president, the divisional chair of the Sadek division. Thanks to you for making this dream come true. Max Botswana, you reminded us of our meeting in Vic Falls just last year before the signature of the MOU. We do thank you, our leaders, for your thought leadership and strategic leadership. And I must also thank members of the division, the AFSA Sadek division, Paulman, Susan, and Stanley. I thank you for operationalizing this project and for shepherding it and bringing it to where it is today. Your sacrifice, time-wise, has not gone unnoticed. And of course, I congratulate all the panelists and all the presidents of the various law societies in the region. Thank you very much for supporting our work, and thank you very much for nominating panelists to be empaneled accordingly. Now, going back to the programs that are afoot, we have heard a lot today, this afternoon, about the quest to repatriate African arbitration work from the West back to the continent. We have heard also about the AFTA, the African Continental Trade Area. We have heard also about the need for creating a globally competitive capability in the region, so that once we have repatriated our work to the region, we competently deliver on that which our consumers of the service will be requiring, i.e. the disputants. Now, allow me to talk to you about two projects, one of which is Young AFSA. Coleman spoke about it briefly. The Young AFSA colleagues will be affair with programs such as Young ICC, Young LCIA, Young ICA. We are streamlining ourselves, bringing ourselves in line with best practice by establishing Young AFSA, so as to do two things. In the short term, collaborate with our global counterparts that I've mentioned, with a view to sharing knowledge and according ourselves, bringing ourselves in line with the best international standards. Long term, Young AFSA's intention is to create an international arbitration career pathway. How do we do it? We do it by, first of all, exposing the young lawyers to a clerkship, which is similar to serving articles, if you like, by way of analogy. Clerkship, sit in with an arbitrator in an arbitration, you get certified as having completed the clerkship. The next level, we certify you. This is the work that we intend to do. We certify you as an arbitral secretary. Now, colleagues will be aware of the fact that globally there is a growing profession of arbitral secretaries. Those arbitral secretaries, they are similar to judicial secretaries. We call them judges registrars in this country. What that will do, the judicial secretarial model will expose our junior lawyers who have completed the clerkship to sitting in with an arbitrator again, this time around not only assisting with administrative function, but also with technical aspects of the arbitration, research, analysis of the evidence. There's a whole conversation going on globally on how far should the arbitral tribunal allow the secretary to participate in the arbitration. But then, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, that would then be the second level of the training. After a period of years, depending on the exposure to the young lawyer, then they will graduate into becoming a fully fledged arbitrator. I see Coleman is looking at his watch. So that is the first program, and I encourage all of us to participate there. Now, the second program is actually a conference. We are meeting today virtually. I should hope that next time when we meet, it will be in person. Second, in September of next year in the Seychelles, we will be hosting a conference under Sadek AFSA. It will also have a training opportunity. The first day of the conference will be devoted to training, and the second day networking and thought and knowledge sharing. And the third aspect that I wish to talk about is to invite colleagues to please log onto the AFSA website, and there you will not only find the video of these proceedings, you will also find a link that invites those among us who are interested in being impaneled to participate, to apply. And if we satisfy the criteria that my colleague Stanley has so eloquently spoken about, then we shall all be participants in this work that we are doing. Thank you very much. Looking forward to meeting all of us in the Seychelles next year, and congratulations to all of the speakers. And yes, thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Mr. Pullman.
Thank you, Lindy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for attending. I want to believe that we have had a successful launch There is information available on both the AFSA and the Sadiq Lawyers Association websites that you can get in order to know more for those that would like to know more. I want to believe that the contact details there will direct any questions to one of us in the Sadiq Division Committee, or indeed to the Secretariat at Sadiq Law, in order to assist this ongoing process. This is an ongoing process. It's an open process. The panelists are not closed. Those that have the expertise in the region that would like to be impaneled will be directed on how to do it on the website. And we look forward to having you all join in this very exciting journey, a journey that we hope is going to lead to SADC being a hub for arbitration and recognized internationally. I thank you all on behalf of all my colleagues, on behalf of the presidents and the respective chairs. Thank you so much and have a lovely weekend.
Thank you, Paulman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paulman. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.